in the back. Okay, Likutei Torah Tzav, page Yud Daled, second column, Eisei. So the Alter Rebbe is explaining, the last thing he's explaining is that the matzah that we eat before Chatzos is the same level of the matzah they eat then after Chatzos, because we have Matzah Torah, we did mitzvahs during the year and so on. So he says, and that's why he says that these two levels of matzah are alluded to in the hay itself. Because what differentiates matzah from chametz is a hay, and hay is hay. So therefore it's the gilui before Chatzos, the gilui after Chatzos, and so on. So he says, now we need to understand, now that we understand what matzah is, need to understand this, it's seventh day of Pesach. How is it by eating matzah for 6 days first? As I dafka be in Mashviat says, then we come to the seventh day, which is Yom Tiv, which is Kiris Yamtiv and Al. It says, now we need to understand why by eating matzah 6 days do we come to Kiris Yamtiv on Shvi Shel Pesach. So he says, the inyan Yamin Yabashul Amayla. The inyan of Yamin Yabash in the spiritual world is B'chinas Alma Diskasi V'Alma Disgalya. Revealed worlds, which is Yabasha, that everything is noticeable. Then you have Alma Diskasi, the hidden worlds, where nothing is revealed. Well, just like Yamin land drawn down here. The Gemara says everything that exists in the dry land exists in water. Because half the world, more than half the world, is water. So there's a whole world down there. Yabosh is revealed, they're hidden, because they're absorbed and covered by the yam that's covering them. You look at the yam, all you see is the ocean. You don't see anything in the ocean. So now the Alter Rebbe is explaining, why is there yam and yabasha down here in the world? Why did Hashem make the world that half yam and half yabasha? Because in Ruchnius, there's the revealed worlds, which is yabasha, and there's the concealed worlds, which is the yam. Malchus of Atzilus has two names. It's called Eretz and it's called Yam. Sometimes we find Malchus Atzilus is called Yam, and sometimes it's called Eretz. V'hainu, which means, how can it be called both? This revelation of Malchus, that comes into the world of B'riyat and Asiyah, to give life. This, the Malchus of Atzilus, comes into the worlds of B'riyat and Asiyah to give their existence, which is Alma Dizgalya. That level of Malchus that comes into the world to give existence to the world, that is the level of Eretz, because it's revealed. It's coming into a world that's not bottled like things in the Yam, it's bottled to the Yam, but on the contrary, it looks like a separate entity. So the way Malchus comes down into the worlds, then Malchus is called Eretz. But, and that's what it says, Tachi, Oris, Teitzi, Oris, Nefesh, Chaya, like it says in there many places. V'hainu, K'meshe Kozi, Gersa Kedish, in Tanya, Yitzim and Chov. What is the spiritual source of Yesh V'Davar Nifred? It's Malchus D'Atzilus. It's the level of Malchus D'Atzilus becomes Atik D'Briya, that becomes the crown of Briya, right? So there's a chain. So one link goes into the next link. So in each link, there's two parts of the link. There's the link, the way it's connected to higher, and the way it's connected to lower. So the way Malchus comes into the lower level, into world, the Malchus is called Eretz, because it's creating the world, which is Yesh V'Davar Nifred B'Fnei Atzmai. So they have a Malchus, which is the source of that, is the level of Eretz. Okay. But the the way Malchus is in Atzilus, not the way Malchus comes into Bria. The way Malchus is Mekabel from the higher levels of Atzilus, that's when Malchus is called Yam, because it's part of Atzilus. Vinei, a Malchus Mekabel, Atzilus. Because Malchus gets his chayim. Malchus, we learned, has nothing of its own. Less than Migambar Klum. Malchus only gets from the higher worlds, from the higher levels. And as Malchus of Chochmah becomes Chochmah of Malchus. Malchus of Bina becomes Bina of Malchus. And then it comes into Bia. So first Malchus has to be by itself, receiving all from the higher levels, and then it's able to transmit it to the lower levels. Because the midas, the way they are in Atzilus by themselves on that level, it can't come into Bia, into Bria Tzir Nasiyah. Because Malchus is complete bittul. But if Chesed of Atzilus would be revealed, Gvor of Malchus, even Atzilus, would be revealed as is, it's a level of Elokus. You can't create Bria Yesh Mi'ayin. So in order for Malchus to be able to go down lower, it has to conceal it. Like he says, Ki ba'atzilus, the earth and the kelim are all one. Chesed Atzilus is Ein Sof Mamash. And there's no comparison between Chesed of Malchus, of Atzilus, to Chesed of Bria. Chesed Atzilus is Or Ein Sof, Bittul, and Malchus, Chesed of Bria, is Yashas. Shul B'chinas Go Machen Micho Ba'ava, a Kabal Ashpa Be'ishtaushus M'chinas Chesed Atzilus, which is Beligvul. So the only way Malchus of Atzilus can take the Kaichus of Atzilus to lower it into Bria Tzir Nasiyah, Im Lo Yadei Shemisalim Tchila Era Chesed B'zeh B'chinas Malchus. It has to conceal itself into Malchus. And then Malchus now, in other words, Yam is two things. It's hidden and it's bittul. So the hidden aspect of it is the way Malchus hides the higher levels. Because normally Malchus, by definition, is removal, not revealing. Malchus is Remer Vesnasus. The king is removed from the people. He's not buddies with the people. By definition, Malchus is removed, remote, removed, separated.
So when we say Hashem Chul, you're connecting these two together.
No, you're not connecting two levels of Malchus. You're connecting Kodesh Baruch Hu with Malchus.
Right.
Yeah. That means Malchus then is receiving from Kodesh Baruch Hu in the way of a Yichud. Male and female separately cannot reproduce. Correct? If you have Zohar and Malchus, each one separate, there's no Yichud, so they're individuals. In order to produce, there has to be a Yichud between Zohar, male and female, Zohar and Malchus. So then when there's Yichud, Kodesh Baruch Hu Shchinte, that causes more Gilu to come down. But the way it comes down is through Malchus. He just did, but you can ask another one.
Is every contraction of a Kodesh Baruch Hu's name, whatever, it's Malchus, whatever it is everything has to do with Hashem's name, and everything, every of these emanations, whatever they are, has a different name of a Kodesh Baruch Hu?
Yes, a different revelation, different name, but it's only a difference in the revelation of it, not in his existence.
Right, but I'm just saying that
Hashem doesn't exist more in Atzilus than he does in Bria. He's more revealed in Atzilus than in Bria.
names for every one of them?
The 7 Midas, and each one is a million kolul, and this chesed.
Everything has a name?
Yeah, everything has a name.
So
It says in davening, You guys davened already. It's in Tillim. It's a pasuk in Tillim. Meina mispar lakichovim. There's an Hashem counts l'chulam shemer sikra. Right? Each star today, you're advertised. You can buy a star with your name on it, right, for whatever. Hashem has meina mispar lakichovim l'chulam shemer sikra. There's a name for every single star. There's millions of stars, whatever there is up there. So each one has a name. Now, this name is the agilui of Elokus in a certain way. Now, again, the difference between Atzilus and this world down here is only not if Hashem exists more in Atzilus than he does down here. It's only he's revealed more, but existence is the same. Because if you take a person and you cover, he goes behind one curtain. The person himself is not hidden. He's only hidden from us. So then you have one cover, two covers, 100 covers. But the person himself is not changed. You take a light bulb and you cover it with one blanket, another blanket, another blanket. The light bulb itself is the same light bulb. It's not diminished. It's just the shining of the light. The revelation is different.
But that's a combination of letters, Rabbi, each revelation?
Yes.
So doing a mitzvah bring the Tzav of higher level to Abu?
In order to unite Zoh and Malchus, which are essentially opposite, Mashpia and Mekabel are opposites. In order to unite Mashpia and Mekabel, you have to tap into a place higher than both.
In this case, Mashpia.
In order for male and female to reproduce, it says in Samach to Samach, the Rabbi Shav's Maimor, the Friedrich Rebbe's Chassidus, that it comes, the Koyach Ein Sof comes from the Chuppah. Because you're uniting two opposites, Venus and Mars, right? Male and female. So then, in order to unite those out, like we learned, Nesem Teva, Bli Gvul, all that. So it taps in when there's a Yichud Kodesh Shrinta. It's not only coming from Zav Atzilus, you're tapping into higher, that's allowing that Yichud to happen. So the Judaism, it's much greater than that. Okay, so he says, and I'll link this. So the only way Chassid of Atzilus, which is Ein Sof, is able to come into the lower worlds, and by concealing itself in Malchus, then Malchus, Malchus say, is Remus Isnasus. Like it says, I'm Isnasim, you may say, is removed from world. But that across Nasus is Talka Shulayed Achayas Aleim. Right? Generally speaking, a king doesn't reveal himself. If anything, he just reveals his name. The king, Melech Shmei Nikra Aleim. But, so the same thing, Malchus, the way Malchus is not yet revealed down here, then Malchus is called Yam. It's the concealed level. L'chein nikra b'malchus Yam leis kamesh hayam mechaso ma'alim sham b'seicher. Just like the Yam conceals what's in it, kamei kim b'chinas Malchus. Malem is the mechasa b'chinas midas el yenim datzilus. Malchus conceals. But that's the only way, so to speak, it could come into Bria. Otherwise, if there's no concealment, Atzilus cannot reveal itself in Bria because it would plots. It would just completely bit. Okay? So now you have like this. So Malchus is Yam and Malchus is Eretz. Malchus, the level of Malchus, the way it is in Atzilus itself, is Yam. The way Malchus comes down lower to give Chayas to Bria, then Malchus is called Eretz. Malchus is these two levels. Amnom, Masha, Meir, Mispasha, Menel, and Avram, the Bia, Lias, Almond, is Gallian, then this level is called Eretz. Like he explained before. Turn the page. Vine, he says like this, calls there, all of this that he's talking now is Ksha'ar Ma'ashpa Nimshach Derek Seder Shtaushel Me'atzis Libiyah. In a way, Mamalakolam. Meaning, when things are normal, okay, so then you have Atzilus, and then you have Bria, and then you have Yetzira, and Atzilus can't come into Bria by itself, because Atzilus is Ein Sof, and Bria is limitation, and it wouldn't be Bia. Okay? So he said, but that's only when things are normal. In a normal way, so then Zohar comes into Malchus, and Malchus conceals it, and then it reveals it to Bia. He says, Sha'ah Sha'ah B'chinis Yama Yabasha Alma Diskas Yama Disgali Shekach Adargis Hishtaushus Ha'ilmis. That's the chain of the world, Shabbat Silas, which is Ein Sof infinite. To become revealed in Bi'al and Nevroim, Ubali Gvul, Im Loi She'ahelem Tchila B'chinis Alma Diskasya, which is reveals, and he says now like this, Malchus in essence, even when it's coming into Biyah, Malchus itself is still Yam. It's only a slight revelation of Malchus coming. It's not Malchus as is in Atzilus coming into Biyah. Because Malchus Atzilus is also Atzilus. It's also Bligvul. So the pearl, this is when normal things are going on. When things are normal, so then Malchus is a Yam, Malchus is Eret, it conceals itself in Malchus. Malchus is still Atzilus, but a little ray of it comes into Biyah.
So when we have the chain, the top and the bottom part are not the same.
Correct. One is connected to the higher level, one is connected to the lower level.
But as far as B,
Correct. Now when you're talking, now obviously there's Shtaushus in one world, Chochmah goes into Bina, into Das, into Chazar, that chain is not as great a change that from Atzilus to Bria. Or from Bria to Yetzira. Amnon, Lel, Shvi, Shal Pesach, so what happened now by Kriyas Yamsuf, that Yam became Yabasha. How can Yam become Yabasha? He just said Yam stays Yam. He says, Show you made him is Galahad Gedel of Atzumum Mailam Iseder Ishtaushus, which is Ein Tzav Baruch Atma Seviv Kolam, in that level of Elokus, that Shavar Mashma, that Iskasya and Gilui are the same thing. In Ishtaushalus, where everything is identified what they are, so then Eretz is Eretz, Malchus is Malchus. Yam is Yam. But when you get revealed a level which is higher than both, then Iskasya and Isgalia are the same thing. Yam and Yabash are the same thing. Shatzil, Vasir, Shavim, Mamish, Stefanov. That Atzil is the highest and lowest are the same. Chashech, Chokeda, Mamish. Shebchin is the Helen, Vagilis, the Deder, Shtaushis. Of Alma Diskaya, Shavim, Mamish, Stefanov. Again, it's hard for us to understand even Bligvul. To understand what's higher than Gvul and Bligvul together is basically a human impossibility. We don't even understand what Bligvul is. We can talk about it, but to really get Bligvul, we don't. And how much more so when you're talking about a Gilui higher than both together. He says, why is it's Gassi and it's Galia equal? Given Sheba Emes Ein Begeder Almin Cloud. There's no connection whatsoever to world. That can change the world completely. That Alma Diskasya, hidden is revealed, and revealed is hidden, and there's no problem with it. This is the level that, in other words, like this. We mentioned this many times. In Tanya, the Alter Rebbe always, when he speaks about his baininess, meditation, he said when a person is bainin, Eichum Emal Kol Almin, V'Seiv Kol Almin, V'kula kamei kol choshev. These are three levels. Malu Seviv, Yam and Yabasha, V'kula kamei kol choshev, everything is non-existent. That means there's no Yam and there's no Yabasha, there's no Seviv, there's no Mamala, there's no nothing. It's only a Lukus. So on that level, that's what uniqueness about Kriyas Yamsuf. It's not Tam Hashem, we learned many times in all the Maimorim. It does Tam Hashem save the Jewish people, he split the sea. He could have saved them a lot of different ways. He could have saved them a lot of different ways. What happened over here was there was such a Gilui that Yam became Yabashi. That's what the Gilui is. There was a Gilui of higher than Yam, higher than Yabasha, and therefore Yam could become Yabasha.
Rabbi, from these four words, the concealment is the same from the first word to the second to third, or
No, it's more concealment. The lower it is, the more concealed, the more covered it is.
but the amount of concealment is the same or changes?
Changes. It's more concealment.
I know it is more concealment.
No.
Between the concealment between the first and second, is it the same as third and fourth?
What do you mean is it the same? It's a more concealment. Within a world, when it goes from lower to higher to lower, that's also concealment.
Right.
But it doesn't come to the level of concealment from one world to the next world. There's a much greater concealment than within the world itself. Within the world itself, there's, concealment. Chochmah is higher than Bina, and Chassidus is higher than Gevurah, and so on. But when you're talking about from world to world, over there's a much greater concealment. Atzilus is Alukos, godliness, infinite godliness, and Bria is limited. You're talking about Ruchniistic Bria, not...
So if he concealed himself 10% from first word to second word, is it another 10% from the third to the fourth?
and not... I don't know proportions, I don't know. But it's definitely, it becomes so concealed, by the time it comes down here, it's completely concealed. Bria is less concealed than Yetzirah. Yetzirah is more concealed than Bria. Atziyah is more concealed than Yetzirah. And this world is a complete concealment. So exactly in the, percentage, I don't know. It's just again, but the whole difference is only in the revelation, not in the essence.
The essence is the same.
The essence is the same. It's that Hashem covers himself with himself, which is again the whole Shaykh of Amunah. He covers himself with himself, so in a way that it looks like he's not him, but it is him. We said that if somebody goes like this, you can't see me, okay? That's ridiculous, because this is also me. If I say you can't see my eyes, that's true. Or there's a din in halacha, if somebody doesn't have a yarmulke, and he has to make a bracha, he can't put his own hand on his head. Why? Because you're covering yourself with yourself, not a covering. Somebody else could put their hand on your head. Because you can't cover yourself with yourself. So in essence, Hashem is really covering himself with himself, because Ein Ed Movade. So there's even the covering is him. Hashem Hu Elokim. So that's the thing that we don't understand.
So when we say the bracha following Hashem, so we go through pasa, we bring down, revelation.
To Melech HaOlam.
Into this world.
Melech HaOlam.
How come I can see it?
Get glasses. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's there. It's not there.
If it's such a humongous revelation that is coming down, and I'm breaking every asa to bring it down, it should be, I should see it.
Nothing personal. If you would be a tzaddik, you'd see it. I'm saying the Rebbe see it.
No doubt.
The Rebbe says in a Maimer, Tavshin Tzav, I think it is. By us, world is b'pshitas and Elokus is b'schatshus. By us, world exists. That's a given. God, we got to think about. The Rebbe writes by the Rebbe's, it's Elokus b'pshitas and world b'schatshus. I mean, Elokus is for sure here. They have to realize and think that there may be a world too. Again, it's not 100 times greater than us. It's legal.
I mean, it's true that Hashem is covering himself, and theoretically that's not a covering, but it doesn't affect his God. I mean,
He is covering himself with himself.
he's completely, I mean, if he wants to cover himself.
To use a cute one-liner, he is, symptom means he is where he isn't. Now, how could you be where you're not? Hashem could do it. We'd be to be where he's not. I told you we can't understand. Were you trying to understand something it says we can't understand?
Shua,